Oh, hello, kids. Don't forget to rake your positions.
Welcome back to another exciting edition of Rake Your Position, where four lifelong friends are living out the dream from the comfort of their chairs. We are back, and I am Aaron, the host.
I'm Joe, the groundskeeper. I was wiping my desk off with disinfecting wipes, and I wondered, do they make infecting wipes? Kills cold and flu virus, but like creates cold flu virus, SARS.
And that wasn't that COVID? Wasn't that 2020?
That's like one of those movies where they break into a freezer and the vial breaks, and then you just unleash the plague.
And Tyrannosaurus Rex pops out.
I think so. Yeah.
Out of the disinfectant tube.
It's a small one though.
I'm just saying,
I'm
they
saying,
would
that's a small
probably
T-Rex.
sell, unfortunately. Next.
Anyway, I thought that joke was going south real quick. Anyway, I'm Jay Lee the Rover.
I'm Corey the Statman, and I thought that joke was going west with Joe West.
Good
Where's
old
Joe
Joe. I
West?
wonder if he's made it to the
Is
coast
he still?
yet.
Yeah. Is he still heading?
Still
How long
traveling.
would it take him?
It's a
Still
Forrest Gump
traveling.
running situation.
He's just
Joe
going to
West.
stop, turn around, come home.
Yeah, I'm gonna go home now.
Well, we are back to talk about Hall of Fame stuff. Last week we submitted our ballots, and overall we would have elected 4 people. We're gonna talk about that a little bit in a moment, but we were right on the 3 that did get in. We would have elected them as well if we were the W or BBWAA. And so Joe's going to start off our conversation with those candidates.
Yes, the 3 to make it in, which only one of them would have made it in for me, but you all had the other 2, which you need 75% to make it into the hall. So these other 2 would have got it. But number 1, Adrian Beltre. These are in no particular order. Number 2, Corey is sporting his tee
It says Ma.
hidden by the mic. It's the Twins. It's Joe Mauer.
My mom
And for the
should be in the Hall of
Colorado
Fame.
Rockies,
Hands down.
product
Yes.
of the University of Tennessee, Todd Helton. And so I mentioned, so the way you get into the hall is the Sports Writers Association of America, or Baseball Writers, some big long name. You have to get 75% of their votes to get in. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But what I was curious about earlier today was, how do you even get onto the ballot? So for our listeners who maybe don't know how a player at least gets on a ballot, from the BBWAA. Thanks, Aaron.
Baseball Writers Association of America.
Because I didn't. And I'm just going to read you through the method of a player getting on the ballot of the Hall of Fame. So, number 1, if you're already on the ballot and you get 5% of the vote, you will stay on the ballot for a period of up to 10 years, or if you go below 5%. Now, the second way to get on the ballot, which is the one I think is much less known, is there is a committee that's consisted of these baseball writers. It consists of 6 members, with 2 members being elected at each annual meeting for a 3-year term. And if 2 of those 6 members nominate somebody to be on the ballot, they will be listed on the ballot for up to 10 years, or until they receive less than 5% of the vote. And one other thing I wanted to point out, let me scroll on baseballhall.org's page here. It lists the criteria that they vote on. And if I can find it, there it is. So, voting shall be based upon the player's record, playing ability, integrity, sportsmanship, character, and contributions to the team on which the player played. So that's section 5 on their little rules for election charter here. I wonder how long that's been in there. I guess I knew and didn't know that you factored in somebody's character when making the Hall of Fame. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I disagree with that, but I found that interesting that that was so prevalently postured into this little charter here. So, but getting back to the three people that did make it, actually, we're going to go into the people that didn't make it, didn't we?
Well, Corey's going to give us a real quick recap of the other people, who didn't make it, and then we're going to talk about a couple of ones that caught our attention. So, Corey, give us a update on who else is on the ballot.
Sure. So, returning to the ballot this year, that did not make it in the Hall of Fame, which we will discuss some of these a little bit more in depth. Billy Wagner, Andrew Jones, Gary Sheffield, Carlos Beltran, Alex Rodriguez, Manny Ramirez, Omar Vizquel, Andy Pettit, Bobby Abreu, Jimmy Rollins, Mark Burley, the fastest pitcher this side of the Mississippi and the other side of the Mississippi, Francisco Rodriguez, and Torrey Hunter. And then, based on the process that Joe just outlined, the players that are new to the ballot this year, which is an almost equally long list, bat flip king Jose Batista,
Punch to the
Adrian
face,
Beltre,
King.
And bat kick
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, I'm not good at words. Big sexy Bartolo Colon. No
You said
good
that
nickname.
just fine.
Yeah, well, I'm very familiar. I did see a thing where it was like Bartolo Colon had a lot of fun headlines with his last name, like uh, Cologne pounded, and it was like something like it was a lot of puns on colon.
Yeah, that's
There's a lot of colon
unfortunate.
puns. Yeah. Um, Big Guns Matt Holliday, Victor Martinez, Joe Mauer, Brandon Phillips, Jose Reyes, Big Game James Shields, who got traded for Fernando Tatis Jr., Chase Utley, and Captain America David Wright.
Can I
So a
just
lot of
make a little,
names.
sorry, a little quick thing about Matt Holliday real quick. You know who he
Mhm.
always reminded me of? You know, in Rookie of the Year, when that
Hito?
Mets batter.
That's
That's
Hito,
just like,
baby.
that's just,
Yeah.
that's sawdust. That's how I pictured Matt hold, like, that's how he looked like he was holding his bat. Like he's going to snap it in half. Well, that's a little info
Very
for you.
violent swing.
I thought you were going to say Lex Luthor because that's what I.
Well, that too. That fits.
But a lot of names. I mean, just to kind of piggyback on the guys that actually did make it, because I think we all should maybe say a little bit about. Well, never. Joe should just say something about Adrian Beltre because he hates the other two guys, I think. But I was a big Joe Mauer fan based on the shirt, obviously. Maybe he didn't catch for as long as he should have, but he was a exceptional hitter. He has a cool highlight where a foul tip goes back and bounces off a brick wall, and he just catches it behind his back. And it's a dead ball foul ball thing, but it's just a fun thing that it's those things where you just kind of do not thinking about it just because you've been doing it for so long. Just kind of it was a cool little thing to see, and the announcers noticed it and they were impressed. And Todd held professional hitter, 950 OPS in his career. And he was at Coors, but he didn't have a lot of home runs, so he's getting a lot of that slugging from non-home runs, which is a cool thing to see. And then Adrian Beltre would take some hacks. The one knee Beltre homers, the down to one knee Beltre homers were always a fun thing to see. Like if he thought he had the pitch, he was going to take his chance at it. And also, there's a lot of fun clips with Beltre messing around with Felix Hernandez. It seems like they're good friends. So if you need a fun little baseball laugh or something to put a smile on your face, just look up Felix Hernandez and Adrian Beltre doing the things they did when they were on the field. But three well-deserving guys, I think. But plenty of people that didn't make it, and we've got plenty of things to say about it. If you can imagine that. Aaron, would you
Yeah,
like
and
to? Oh no, Joe. Aaron's deep in thought over there.
I'm just gonna.
I was thinking.
I'm just gonna. I'm just gonna jump my bullet up because this isn't. I think now's the time just to get them out of here. So the players that will not return to the ballot next year because they got less than 5% of the vote is Jose, please don't punch me in the face, Batista. Victor, I had to move to DH. I couldn't catch any more. Martinez. Bartolo, taking it deep. Cologne. Matt,
Oh,
infield fly Holiday. Adrian, super
oh.
solid
Too soon.
career Gonzalez. Brandon, super weak dog Phillips. Jose Reyes and James Shields received 0 votes. So they will not return. We'll get some new ones next year. But on to some people maybe we thought should have made it.
Yeah, we're all going to talk a little bit about somebody that didn't make it in yet that we still going to support. I was interested at those guys that got knocked off, and Joe mentioned the character clause that's in the Hall of Fame. And I know recently it's been used in a positive way to talk about, like, I heard a lot of Cardinals broadcasters talking about it with like Adam Wainwright. Borderline case statistically, but does the character clause bump him into the Hall of Fame? Those types of things. And so I'm glad that Joe figured out how these people are added to the ballot, because I was going to talk about Jose Reyes, the fact that he got 0 votes and that he's already gone. It's not surprising he didn't get in, but the fact that he didn't get any votes, we're guessing it's because of his character and his issues later in his career with domestic violence. But if that's the case, why did they even put him on it to begin with? If they're like, yeah, we're gonna put him on there, then not vote for him at all. So it's kind of weird. So yeah, how much does the character clause weigh into these decisions, pro and con for the players? It just seems like an easy opt out, because I think we're talking about steroids later, but that's a character issue as well that has changed over time. But so yeah, we were talking last week. 3 of us. Did all 4 of us vote Wagner? Did you vote Wagner too, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah. So Wagner was the one guy that we would have put in as our 4th guy that did not get in. He was 5 votes shy this year, which correct me if I'm wrong, but he's got a couple years left, right? I've
Next
lost
year's
that
is
page.
last year.
Next year's was last year. So
So
he'll probably make it up. Usually get a slight increase each year because you got to play the numbers game with 10 votes and people's eligibility and all that. But yeah, there was reported 3 people dropped him this year that voted for him last year. So that kind of stinks. So hopefully they go back and vote for him in his final year. If you look at his stats, which relievers are tough because the last 20, 25 years, how we use bullpens keeps changing. But, 25 years ago, we first saw closers, or maybe 30 years ago now, closers and setup men. And now pins are being used more and more. And these dominant, like Wagner, if he was pitching today, he would be talked about all the time of how important he is and how big of a weapon he'd be in today's game. And so he's still kind of getting overlooked. But, I mean, rate-wise, he's one of, if not the best strikeout pitcher out of the pen. He just doesn't have as many innings as some of the recent Hall of Fame guys, and so his counting stats fall way behind, like your Riveras and your Hoffmans, and even like your Smiths that are already in the Hall of Fame. But if you just look at pure stuff and how dominant he was when he was out there, he's on a very short list, especially looking at left-handed relievers. So I think he'll be in next year, and kind of bummed he didn't make it this year. But I'm also glad that he was close and 3 guys got in. So he's my one to keep an eye on for next year going forward. These guys that didn't make it.
Yeah,
Kind of-
and go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Corey.
Okay, I'll go. The thing that we talk like it happened with Larry Walker as well as like the longer they were on the ballot, the more votes they got, and Larry Walker got it in, I believe, on his 10th year, and Todd Helton was in his later years of eligibility. And the thing that I don't like, especially from people who don't fill out a 10-person ballot, is I feel like it's very common to hear, oh, this person's a Hall of Famer, but he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. How is that distinction made? It does not matter
Hmm.
how many years they're on the ballot. Either they are good enough to be in the Hall of Fame or they are not. Like to me, it's a, there's no gray area. It's a yes or no. And I can understand if there are 10 players that you think are better than them, that's fine. But I feel like I don't have any specific examples, but I don't think a 10-person ballot is particularly common. None of us had a 10-person ballot. But there's not anybody that I didn't vote for that I'm like, oh, I would vote for them later in their eligibility. Like it's just that I hate hearing that. And I think it's a pretty good chance Wagner gets in. I think he deserves to be in. I think the people that say, vote for him in his last year of eligibility or whatever they say, it's dumb. And I don't like it. And I don't really have anything to add about the discussion with Billy Wagner specifically. I just wanted to voice my displeasure with particularly how writers vote. And
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I would agree with you on that, but at the same time, I'm also glad that they are on there for 10 years because we started evaluating players differently, newer stats, especially with like defense, which we're talking about with Hunter and Jones here in a little bit. We've learned how to evaluate defense better over those last 10 years. I think it helps Scott Rowland. So
Mhm.
if it was you get 1 year, yes or no, is he Hall of Famer, then move on to somebody else, then all of a sudden we'd be looking back at these guys 10, 20 years later, be like, well, maybe that guy really was a Hall of Famer and we just didn't realize it. So, but yeah, it's an interesting discussion.
The the little charter I read from earlier, the last thing also says the board of directors of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum reserves the right to revoke, alter, or amend these rules at any time. So, which
Stupid.
most things have that last clause that says, "Hey, we can change anything at any time we
We
want."
can do
So,
what we want. Yeah.
pretty much, yeah. But back to Billy, I find it odd that Francisco Rodriguez, while I think Wagner is better, and I would take him every day for the ninth over Francisco. Their career stats are pretty similar, and Francisco got 7.8%, which
Mhm.
has to be pretty disappointing for him. There's a few numbers, and until I recently started looking, I thought they had kind of lost some luster. But I think it still holds pretty true. There's some numbers like the 500 home run club, the 3,000 hit club, even still the 1,500 RBI club. That's maybe getting a little more crowded. But there's also a 400 save club. There's like 7 or 8 guys that have done that. And Aaron, you said the last 25, 30 years. I think the last 40, 45 years, we've had closers. We've had consistent closers that rack up saves. So the fact that there's not that many and both these guys are pretty well over 400, pretty dominant. I think Wagner trending in the right direction gets in, but Francisco, I don't know if he was on it last year. I forgot to look, but that's not a good place to be at right now. 7.8%.
Corey, did you vote for K Rod? I know me and Jared did.
I did not.
Okay.
Wow, dude.
So,
Good job.
yeah, me and Jared are right. That's fine.
That's why he didn't get on the
Well,
ballot.
There's a reason. I don't remember now, but
Yeah,
there was
we
a
know the
reason.
reason.
Yeah, what's the reason, Corey?
Well, let me pull up his stats. I'll tell you. Why don't you talk about Billy Wagner,
Billy Ray
Rodriguez?
Cyrus.
Billy Ray Cyrus?
Can you tell me about your achy breaky heart?
Yeah, you can talk about achy breaky heart and a couple center fielders.
Um,
Go ahead. No, yeah, let's hear why.
so why I didn't vote for Francisco Rodriguez in comparison to Billy Wagner?
No, not comparison. Just why didn't you vote for him?
They can both be Hall of Famers, Corey. You just said that. Is this
I
guy a
did
Hall
say
of
that.
Famer
I
or
just
not?
I don't think
Is this
so.
guy
I
a
don't
Hall
think
of
he
Famer or
is.
not?
Well,
There's no gray area.
He's
To
one of the
me-
10 best to do it all time. Nah,
to me, Billy Wagner
get him
not
out.
just okay. If you're not
His
even gonna let
nickname
me
was
talk,
too good. That's right.
yeah, that's what it was. Um, I don't want to say Billy Wagner's like was right at the line for me as far as making it into the Hall of Fame. And I don't think Francisco Rodriguez was better than Billy Wagner. Like Wagner has a whip under 1, outrageous. 2.31 ERA, ridiculous. K-Rod 2.86. K-Rod was bad. I don't want to say he's bad, but his later years I think really ruined a lot of his stats.
Shouldn't
So,
matter.
I'm gonna make that argument
good.
here in a second. So yeah, I guess maybe it shouldn't
And-
matter.
Correct me if I'm remembering wrongly, because that happens an awful a lot. But what I remember is K-Rod's velo dropped like 8 miles per hour by the end of his career. Billy Wagner was still chucking upper 90s till the very end.
Mhm.
It was probably, obviously allowed him to hang on to a sub 1 whip and a K per 9 that was outrageous to the very
And
end.
it's his offhand. That's what's amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah. We should bring that up. That's always
Billy
been the
Wagner,
story
for
that I
anybody
guess was
doesn't
true.
know out there, they just talked about it again. Now he's on the Hall of Fame circuit again. For those who don't know, Billy Wagner is naturally right-handed and broke his arm as a kid and couldn't throw for a while. And so he learned how to throw left-handed and throws 100 miles per hour. If you want to know how hard that is, all 4 of us are decent athletes here on the pod, still are. And I think if we all threw a baseball left-handed, if you added the velo of all 4 of those up, we might hit 100, all 4 of us
Maybe.
combined.
Yeah, listeners, try to throw something with your offhand and see
And
how
see
that
how
feels.
bad it looks. Yeah.
So all you got to do is break your arm, and you can throw really hard with the other one.
Or if you break it just right, you throw really hard with the correct arm anyway. Henry Rodengartner. So
Hey, Henry.
the key is to break your arm. Here's what we're telling you guys. If you don't
No.
take anything away from this pod, Rakers
Can
go
we
out
break
and
your
break your arm.
Can we do
And
that
then you
doctor
could throw
disclaimer
100.
now?
Yeah, we need a
Yeah,
disclaimer
this
real
is
quick.
our
If you
insert.
do
The
break
side
your arm, please
effects.
call your doctor.
The side effects of the pod may include
Breaking your
Broken
arm.
arms.
rage, broken bones, bad advice, and lies.
Protecting wipes.
Infecting wipes?
Dude, you might be onto something.
Yeah. So Jared and Corey had a couple center fielders we're going to talk about now. So Jared starts off.
Yeah. I think hopefully looks like this guy. I don't know if he'll get in, but I'm glad he gets to stay on the ballot. But I'm gonna talk about Torrey Hunter a little bit. And looking up at this guy's stats, it's pretty cool to see someone get that many gold gloves. And I know the world loves offense. But for him being known for his defense, still hitting 277 with 353 home runs is pretty awesome. I think alone he should be in the Hall of Fame for robbing Barry Bonds in the All-Star game. Personally, but
At
I mean,
gunpoint?
yeah, robbing him at gunpoint.
Uncle Ben?
But I mean, getting most of those gold gloves in Minnesota, and then even went to the Angels and got a few there as well. Obviously, I love defense, so I think it's awesome that the Hall of Fame is looking at defense even more and more. Just because, again, we know every sport loves offense. The more you score, the more exciting it is. But to me, and maybe Corey can attest to this too, because he loves catching, but
Because I couldn't hit?
correct.
Okay.
Maybe that's why I also love defense as well. But making a diving catch, robbing something over the fence, throwing someone out, stealing a base, like those are all plays that I think are so underrated in baseball that really get the crowd pumped and your team pumped. So for Torrey Hunter to go out there in Minnesota and get all those gold gloves, I think hopefully that gives him something that the voters to keep looking at, and hopefully he gets in. But I mean, to me, we look at all these amazing center fielders, and I think he's always one that goes under the radar, which is sad because I mean, if you go back and look at a lot of his tape, like there's so many great plays from Torrey Hunter. But anyway, I'm gonna kick it to Corey for someone pretty similar, maybe a little bit better offensively, but let's see what we got here.
No, I'm with you. I didn't vote for Torrey Hunter. I'm with you on Torrey Hunter, especially like I think he was kind of at his peak defensive performance like during our formative years. And don't watch a lot of old clips, but it seemed like he was on web gyms multiple times a week. And
Definitely. Hey,
you're out playing pickup baseball, you're doing the home run robs. He's the best I've ever seen at robbing homers. Um and consistently doing it. And he's just a really fun guy to watch. And I do appreciate that he's getting some recognition. I don't know that he's quite there. Like I do think that Andrew Jones is there based on his performance on the field. Um, I guess to caveat any of the following discussion, it does seem like maybe some people are taking in that integrity or that character clause with Andrew Jones because there are some alleged incidents with him domestically. Um, but
allegedly.
What about
I don't
Thorne?
know the
Allegedly.
actual story. So this is where I would pass it over to the Braves expert who isn't supposed to be talking about this. Um, but I don't know what the actual what sort of concrete things have happened with him. Hopefully nothing involving concrete. But
I don't know because he's around the Braves all the time. He's special guest. They just retired his number. Um, he's in good standing with MLB. He's in good standing with the Braves. So he's one of these guys that'll be interesting because a lot of athletes have these alleged cases against him, but Andrew is still accepted and beloved and included. Where guys like Jose Reyes, we haven't heard from since they retired.
mhm. But so Andrew Jones, also very, very good at defense. 10 gold gloves. He accumulated 24.4 defensive WAR for baseball reference. The next closest center fielder has 18.8. So he has 5.6 more defensive wins above replacement than the next
Is that
closest
Willie?
outfielder in MLB history. The article I'm looking at doesn't say.
Oh,
I
okay.
would imagine. Let me.
Didn't know if that was center
Probably-
fielders or all outfielders.
It's all
It's probably Jim.
outfielders.
It's probably Jim Edmonds.
Or Matt Holliday.
Hmm.
It's anybody's guess, really.
The same
Uh,
defensively, honestly.
Yeah,
Bad routes to the baseball.
Oh, yeah, the Cardinals guys, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, gotcha.
Let's see.
You know, both of them played the infield. Matt Holliday goes up as a third baseman. You love moving those infielders out there.
But we do.
Anyway, we're not talking about those guys. We're talking about Andrew Jones.
Oh,
I don't know.
sorry.
I don't know who the second. I don't know who the second guy is.
Gotcha.
But I think the stat that maybe gets thrown around the most is that there's four guys that have 10 gold gloves and 400 homers. Andrew Jones is one of them. The other three are Mike Schmidt, Ken Griffey Jr. Sorry, I guess we do need to make that designation.
Yes.
And
Hank Sr.
yeah, and Willie Mays, which is pretty good company to be in. The other knock against Andrew Jones is his longevity. So looking at kind of how he compares, there's 19 center fielders in the Hall of Fame currently. The average center fielder that's in the Hall of Fame has 71.6 career WAR. Andrew Jones has 62.7. So falls, I mean, that's not a small percentage short. Let me get my calculator that I always have handy here out. That's
Handy
13,
dandy.
12.5% difference. So not an insignificant number. The thing is, though, that his 7-year peak WAR is 46.4, and the average Hall of Fame center fielder's 7-year peak WAR is 44.7, that's exactly what it sounds like. It's the most WAR of any 7-year span of their career. So he stacks up pretty well there. And he made defense and center field look easy. And I think that may be the knock. Also, like it's almost a thing like he didn't make the plays he was making didn't look hard. Like he wasn't, but he was making plays that
Edmonds.
nobody else was making. Yeah.
Hater.
So it's almost like I don't think he would show up on the highlight reels as much, but he was getting to balls and making plays that a lot of people weren't making. And 434 home runs with 10 Gold Gloves, like playing the best center field defense ever, and still hitting 400 homers. Like you would expect somebody like Ozzy, like a bat like Ozzy Smith or something like that, for somebody playing the best defense ever at a position. But
I don't
he's
like your
good, and then
tone there.
he just kind of petered out. I tried to whisper, so maybe only half of one other person would hear.
I'm loving this segment. This is like all the exact arguments I would
I mean,
make.
it's
I love it.
you made the argument like we talked about Trout well in some episode, which is basically the same thing. Like Trout in his career is basically equivalent so far to Andrew Jones's peak 7 years. I mean, Trout's been more than 7 years now.
You
But
look at Andrew's 10 years when he was on the Braves. He was third in WAR in the major leagues. Number one was Barry Bonds. Number two was Alex Rodriguez, and we know what they did. Andrew was third. Chipper was fourth in those 10 years. MLB WAR. So it's more than just 7 years. My
yeah,
dog is
but
barking deep.
can you tell us his name?
It's actually a girl. My apologies. It's
Oh,
Ronnie Acuni Doodle.
yep. Okay.
Does she answer to that?
She answers to Ronnie.
Woof.
I'm going to
Yes,
jump
that is
in
what
there
she's doing right now.
briefly. She is. I'm going to jump in there briefly on this outfield conversation. I did not have Torrey Hunter. I didn't even consider it. And that's what's interesting. We're talking about how stuff is evaluated differently now. When we watch.
Hi, Ronnie.
When we watch, Hunter looks awesome. Edmonds looks awesome. If you look at their defensive stats, and this is defensive runs saves is a baseball reference way of doing it. Hunter for his career is negative 38 runs. Edmonds is 80, which 83 in the outfield. He lost some playing first base later in his career. So 83 in the outfield. Andrew Jones is 254. So like they're not close in defense. Andrew is in a category all by himself defensively, but then offensively, they're all similar. Hunter got on base a little bit better. Andrew hit more homers. And the guy that we haven't talked about that honestly I would put ahead of Hunter and surprised he's not getting more love is Bobby Abreu. He is better defensively than Hunter if you look at stats, which is crazy to think. He hit for power. He stole bases. He was on some powerhouse teams. And I just threw Edmonds in there. I got these 4 tabs pulled up just to look. Edmonds' bat is so much better than these guys. Like I didn't realize how good Edmonds was. And the fact that he was a one and done vote is crazy to me. So Edmonds is one that I'd go back and look at more because he had good defense and the best bat. But Abreu, I would take Abreu well over Hunter. But the fact that Andrew is so much better defensively, these guys. And you mentioned the 410 Gold Glove Club. 3 of those are center fielders, Griffey, Mays, and Jones. And so right there's a good comparison. Jones's bat's not the same, but defensively.
Not close.
Yeah, the other two have 600 home runs.
Yeah, so that's an interesting club. Like, so it's the bat, but I don't know. Games played. Edmonds is under 2,000, but Abreu, Hunter, and Andrew all played over 2,000 games.
Did Andrew get? He went down from last year, right? Percentage wise,
No, he's gone up every year.
he went up this year. What was he last year? 58 or something.
Yeah,
I
he's
looked
in the
at this.
50s.
Oh, I just had this up. Where did it go?
And he was what, 60 something this year?
While we're
61.6.
While we're on this Jones train, I got a question for the Braves insider, just because I'm curious looking at his stats here. Why did the Braves let him go after his age 30 season? Seems to be a peak time for about money. Okay.
Yeah. Dodgers paid him. That tends to happen with the Braves and the Dodgers.
Yeah, and then look what he did. They got rid of him at the right time.
Yeah.
Like the
They
Cardinals
traded
with
him.
Pujols.
Woof.
Yeah, the Braves didn't think he was worth it. And the Braves at the time weren't a huge market team either.
Well, they probably tried to give him one of those deals that they gave Acuna, and he's like, "No, I'm better than that."
And they're like, oh, maybe you're not.
So Andrew's voting history 7.3% in 2018. So awfully close to getting taken off the ballot. 7.5% in 19, 19.4 in 2020, 33.9 in 21, 41.4 in 22, and 58.1 in 23.
He's got
Got
to be
so
right.
he got
He's
three
getting
more
there.
years. He's going. Yeah, him and Wagner are kind of at the top of returners that aren't connected to steroids, so that usually bodes well. He's very
Yeah.
similar to Roland.
And Sheffield's off the ballot now
Offense
too.
offense lags a bit for his position, maybe, but the defense more than makes up for it. So I think you saw Roland take a while and get in, rightfully so. Andrew should
Well,
be next.
Yeah, Andrew will probably just miss on his 10th year. On to steroids. Go ahead, Corey. Sorry, you were about ready to say something.
well, he was saying that rightfully so. Roland took a few years to get in, and it's the same thing of like he's a Hall of Famer. He should just be in the Hall of
Well,
Fame.
defenses judge differently. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Sure.
rightfully so, we figured it out that maybe
Like,
he's
like how playing third base is at a minimum 600,000 times harder than playing the outfield.
yeah,
Not
but
true.
Andrew's still the best at doing center field ever.
Well,
So
I mean, I'm the best at launching this napkin into my trash can. I'm not making
so
a
you
Third
lawn.
base.
you should be in the trash can Hall of
Third,
Fame.
third base
Yes.
is all based off luck and reaction time.
Yeah, you all played outfielder behind the plate, so I know you don't really know what real defense is.
Second
Anyway,
base is made.
Second base, you're in the
Second-
outfield.
Second base is made for shortstops who can't throw.
I agree. I'm second base is trash. I'm not saying anything, but shortstop and third.
He could have played. He probably could have played shortstop if his arm slot was about 18 inches higher.
They wanted to put you in the outfield, Joe, but your arm was too weak.
Again, I'm not gonna say it wasn't.
It's like let's put it between first base and short. That'll be fun.
Speaking
Shortstop,
of,
third base are more important than center, but he's still the best to ever do it. Moving on.
Speaking of best to ever do it, as far as using the PEDs, there's one which I don't think this guy ever failed a test. He was just in and around the Mitchell Report and the Balco stuff back in the day. Sheffield will leave the ballot at 63%. Two other guys, which I think at least two of us had going. Everybody do
Hey,
your best.
can you
Gary
guys
Sheffield.
try that
batting
again?
impression.
I don't think that was fast enough.
The camera can't even catch up. Gary,
Corey's gonna put a
that's a
hole in
real
the
bat,
ball.
Corey. That's a real bat. Settle down. It was the best back in the day playing wiffle ball or something and doing the Gary Sheffield or just doing anybody's
You're batting right-handed, you're doing Shell. Batting lefty, you're doing Griffey.
Griffey.
That's it.
Yep. But two other guys we had at least on two of our ballots. I don't know if it got on any more than two. Was
So
Alex Rodriguez and Manny Ramirez, who, based on stats alone, I think are A-Rod for sure, no brainer, and even Manny. As far as pure hitters, Manny's probably in my top 10, at least during my lifetime. But again, it's not just stats. As the rules say, there's character and other things that go into it, and there's a precedent of not, we've already had a handful of other juicers come through that did not make it. So I wonder when this steroid well dries up of that tainted era of baseball, which probably had the most viewership ever. But so they're gone, or I guess they still have a few years left. Sheffield is gone. But anybody have any additional comments to make about what's going on there?
Yeah, I do. And since we're all experts in steroids, I have a question. They
Yep.
just make your muscles bigger, right?
yes,
They allow you to recover
Yeah.
much quicker.
Okay, so that has nothing to do with the fact that you're still trying to hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Nothing.
Nope.
That's my argument. I mean,
I'm
I get
curious how
it's
it affects
still,
pitchers.
yeah,
It's
I guess
probably-
that's a little different.
Maybe
But, like,
it's
as
the
far
recovery
as-
thing.
As far as a hitter, you make contact, yeah, that ball's gonna soar, but you still have to make contact with, and all of these hitters that took these PEDs
Yeah, you
still
got to
made like
think of all the guys pumping PEDs that they're like, oh wait, I still can't hit.
that's what I'm saying. Like Dan Ugla, right? Sorry, Dan, if you're doing that
Hey,
to your brother.
hey, whoa, whoa.
I don't know. That's always been my argument with it is like I get it's still like it's a drug it's a performance enhancing drug, but like we always talk about the hitters taking it, but like they have to still make contact with something that's still so hard to do. That's always been my thing. So I get both sides of the coin.
Do you think they should be in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, based off of you still have to have the athleticism to make contact. Like that, it's the hardest thing to ever do in any sport is to hit something that can move that fast or have that much movement and still make contact with it. So yes, I would still vote for these guys.
If you think of, and I just thought about this for 2 seconds, so I could be wrong. Like if I think of the guys who have been left out of the hall because of it, even before, which maybe they were taking it at 20 years old, but even before they got into that steroid era, they were amazing players. I mean, Bonds, Big Mac had the rookie home run record until Alonso broke it. Clemens, Sheffield. I mean, these guys were still monsters. It just made them super shredders.
You know, it's because they could hit the baseball before they took the steroids.
Right.
Exactly.
Which is Jared's
So
point.
I mean,
Yeah.
they could have been Hall of Fame players already.
It does change how they play because you could tell like
Yeah.
they're bigger now. They're not running and as athletic, but
Well, one
let me
thing I
re-
always thought about was the bat speed. Is this going to give me like 5 more miles per hour on my bat? Because that's definitely something.
It's true.
yeah, I think that's the one thing. I think it's got to. You're just stronger. Like I can swing a bigger bat faster than my kids because I'm just bigger and stronger for now. It used to be for me, it was like coming out of the steroid era when we started Mitchell Port and then all that stuff. It was like these guys should never be in. I took that stance. But since then, like my stance, and I should have voted for Sheffield last week. I forgot to, so that's my bad. Because my stance now would be now that rules are in place and it's officially against the rules, and we're testing for it because we don't want people doing it anymore. If you fail the test, it just shows how stupid, incompetent, and your character flaw. And if you're going to cheat on purpose, if you fail the test, you should be disqualified from the Hall of Fame. If you've never failed the test, I mean, Piazza, Hudge, those guys, come on. And we're not going to let Sheffield in? Like, why? Like, there's guys that have never failed tests that were juiced that are in the Hall of Fame. And then others that
Ortiz,
aren't for whatever reason. Ortiz did fail, so he shouldn't be in.
Yeah,
That's the one for me that for like he had enough time to fix his reputation that people just kind of forget about it. Where A-Rod was just a jerk about it.
Yeah.
Manny 3 times, right? Like, was he the first? I know he 2, and then nobody brought him back. Maybe
So
like he was
the
the first
question I
one
have
to lose a season.
is, does it like, are you saying, because there's a lot of people that tested or apparently had positive tests prior to the suspension rules.
Right.
Are you still counting that as a positive test?
Yeah, because that wasn't supposed to be known. So I would say
I don't think that answered the question.
no. I would say those guys should be eligible for Hall of Fame because those
So I think A-Rod, because A-Rod, I don't know that he got like A-Rod got suspended.
he lost a whole year,
Yeah, but he
100
lost a
games or whatever.
year like because of legal reasons. Like he got man.
Yeah, I mean it's all happened so long ago now that I go back and look at each case, but it's just like, uh,
So like Bonds, Clemens, those guys are okay.
McGuire,
According
like
to
the
you.
fact that McGuire got no love because of the trial. I think the trial ruined his reputation because he looked like an idiot.
Yes.
And so they used an example of him. Sosa, Sosa was also cheating with cork bats. So how many games did he play with a cork bat? That's different. So yeah, he was cheating other ways, but
I don't know that that's that helpful, other than it makes your bat lighter. But
that's helpful. If you're getting old, they can't catch up to 98 anymore.
Then
And your
just
bat's
get a lighter
Guess
bat.
what?
And look at Sosa on the White Sox. Did he do anything with the White Sox? No.
A lot of that was Wrigley. Yeah, like he was perfect for Wrigley. I mean, he was always a good hitter and a good base runner, but all of a sudden, fly balls floated over the fence.
I don't know, man. I'd have to look. I feel like,
And he was young with the White Sox.
yeah,
But Sosa's still what, the first guy to do 40 or to do 460 homer seasons. Like the dude could still hit. Like, yeah, he's on steroids. But like Jared said, steroids didn't turn him into a home run hitter.
So I'm putting all of them in. I don't care if they tested positive, if they got suspended, because I think above all else, the Hall of Fame is a museum. Like and I understand there's like this special circle of players that you want to honor there, but it's a museum and it tells a story of baseball's history. And like it or not, this period of the game is part of the game, and you need to tell that story. And I think recently, and I said recently, like within the past 5 years, there is like a steroid exhibit or wing or something. I haven't been there, but there are things that have started to kind of tell this story of the game. And so the fact that these people are again, back to the voters. I think the way that the Hall of Fame is voted on is silly. I think
the players committees after the fact are better,
yes.
better judges of this than writers.
But even like the fact that Manny did get suspended, still one of the best right-handed hitters to ever play the game, and he got suspended because he took PEDs. All of these other people took PEDs and didn't get suspended because there weren't any suspension rules in place. So the fact that Manny did it at the tail end of this period and got caught, yeah, it's unfortunate for him, but that doesn't differentiate him to me, than anybody else who took PEDs and allegedly tested positive and didn't get suspended because there were no rules for that. Like there's no difference to me in that. And these guys are super good at baseball and they got a little bit stronger. They were able to recover a little bit quicker. But again, I think Jared probably made the best point here is like they're still doing the hardest thing to do in sports. And if you want to tell the story of that time, and I think to tell that story, you have to, because they were getting these stats against pitchers who were doing the same thing. It's not like it wasn't an uneven playing field if everybody's doing it. And certainly there were some guys that weren't.
But it is later when Manny tests positive and A-Rod tests positive. It is an uneven playing field because a very smaller percentage of people are doing it because nobody's getting caught. In the 90s, it seems like 2/3 was doing it. So it's even playing field. Pitcher's doing it. Clement's doing it. Bond's doing it. Who hits it? Gagne's probably doing it. But when these guys are getting suspended now with rules in place after the fact, you can't tell me it's an even playing field. That is cheating.
So maybe still just put him in the hall, but it's just a hall of shame inside the Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, like they talk about Pete Rose of the Hall of Fame. They don't let him in. And so, yes, I'm with Corey of how weird the Hall of Fame is. It is a museum. You tell a story of baseball.
It sounds like you want to road trip with us to the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Corey, you in?
Let's go see who's there.
Oh yeah, I got nothing but time on my hands.
When are you quitting your job? We'll go when you don't have a job.
Like I can't say that now.
Your boss.
Your
boss will listen to this?
Let me turn off live.
Dave,
let Corey go on this trip with us.
Corey is mad at the pizza. He's going to go to the
he hates your pizza options.
I'm trying to
clock in and work from the car. You can literally still get paid.
You can draw bridges.
I have a box. I don't get a laptop. I have a little remote box. I have to be sitting at my desk. Like so, the one argument I would make with Manny is that after he tested positive, he was super bad at baseball anyway. So Like it was almost like a last ditch effort for him to extend his career. Like, so his last 3 years of his career, I'm trying to figure out. I can't find his actual first suspension date, but I don't. As far as I don't know that necessarily even the playing field up for him. He was still bad, and old.
Here's what we need to do. Joe and I are close to the same age. Corey and Jerry are close to the same age. So I'll do steroids. Joe can't. And then Corey can do steroids. Jared can't. And then we see how good we are at baseball in 3 months and see if it makes a difference.
I
Hmm.
don't think there's too many unknowns in this experiment that you're trying to run here.
I really wanted to be the one to take steroids.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
We'll use all
If
this.
if
positive energy to buy
steroids
it.
keep your muscles healthier and help you recuperate faster,
And recover and condition, the 3 R's.
yeah, three
And
R's.
kids, there are some negative side effects. Don't.
Yeah,
think
we're
it's
not telling you
Yes.
to take steroids.
Other stuff falls apart and joints break down.
We are telling you to break your arm, but don't take steroids.
You know what would help you
Yes.
break your arm? Steroids.
But like we take steroids, different steroids for all kinds of things. So obviously they're beneficial.
In moderation. I mean, everything
Yeah,
in
short
moderation.
term,
Not
right,
everything in moderation,
right.
but moderation
They're-
is important in everything.
Yeah,
They're
moderation
beneficial
daily.
when your body's not right.
It's like a cup of coffee and my
They-
steroids.
So there's got to be a benefit to it that's not safe for you, but or else people wouldn't have done it.
Are we going to talk about the guys that did make it, or had we planned to do that much? There's a
I
little
tried
bit.
to.
There's a little bit of a segue
Yeah, go for it.
I had there. So with on my notes here, I had Joe Mauer. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. I'm like, okay, he's in. Like it doesn't upset me. I don't think he's that great for me to go into detail. I just have okay, that's fine. Beltre, the defense, the 3,000 hit club, that was a no-brainer. And he got, I think, what, 90+% or something, didn't he?
98.
It was a lot.
Something like that.
90, 95. And then I know we've talked about this before, but he does seem like a goofball. Him getting ejected for moving the batting circle still so childish, but so hilarious at the same time. Some of these maybe they're told don't have a sense of humor, but some of them take it a little too far. But I did want to talk a little bit about Helton. I cannot get over the splits.
Oh,
to
boy.
me, playing in Colorado is like 1998 being on roids. It does the exact same thing to your stats. So I didn't have Helton in. I wouldn't have Helton in. I think if I'm have a career in Colorado, I'm probably a 280, 340,
You're not.
490.
You're
No,
a 220 hitter.
Move those decibels.
You're a 220 hitter.
Moving to the left.
22. He's an
But-
22.
And I spot checked it with several other guys on the list, home and away stats. Everybody that I looked at was, I mean, some of them were better away. Everybody was within 10 points, and I'm looking mostly at OPS, because that's a stat that I like. Helton is like 140 points less away, and I don't think if you double his away stats, which shouldn't be the criteria to determine if they make the Hall, I don't think he's a Hall of Fame player. So whatever the heck is going on in Colorado with all these inflated stats, I would take into consideration, and I would not have had him in. Obviously an amazing athlete. The dude played quarterback at Tennessee. He's, he would have been a very, very good player anywhere he was at, but they're just too inflated for me.
Can you elaborate a little bit further on who his backup quarterback was while he was at Tennessee?
He started over the forehead. He started over Peyton Manning while at
Hey, give
Tennessee.
off. Gosh, we can't get football guys on our pod.
And that's exactly why he got in. That stat alone.
Yeah.
His forehead? Oh, wait, that he played Tennessee. Helton, It looks like Helton has been eating pretty good since he retired, but
I also noticed that as well.
other than that, he looked good. Full head of hair and looking healthy. So I don't know. I'm probably playing slow pitch softball now.
So he had still an 833 OPS away from Coors in his career, which is pretty good.
That is
855.
pretty good. That's not Hall of Fame first baseman.
855, not 833.
Well, Fangraph says 833.
Baseball Reference says 855.
Well,
I got 855.
are you looking at
Let me
Baseball
look it
Reference?
up.
Yes, I am.
Okay, well,
Corey,
weird. You guys looked at the same page.
Wait a second here. I got it. Hold on.
He also won Gold Gloves. Like he was not he played a pretty good first base.
I'm not saying he's not a great player. He's
Only
not Hall
3
of Fame
gold
for me.
gloves.
Oh, you guys never here, since we're talking about this, and you guys are looking right at Todd Helton's page, and I
Mhm.
asked, only one person responded in the text message of name in order from most to least number of All-Star appearances between the three inductees. Um, it was very backwards as far as what I thought it would have been,
Backwards
because
from what I guessed.
Joe Mauer had 6, Todd Helton had 5, and Adrian Beltre had 4. So the fact that Adrian Beltre, a 98% Hall of Fame first ballot guyer, had 4 All-Star appearances. To put that into perspective, JD Martinez has 6 All-Star appearances. Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer by that math? Okay, I don't think so either. But
Mm-mm.
Think of
So
who
fun.
Helton's competition was, though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, same with Beltray. Who was he going up against every year?
A-Rod probably.
Jones. Yeah, A-Rod. That's true. American League.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Um, with the help of conversation, I would vote for him. I always would. If it's 855, which is some discrepancy, Joe, did you find it? What's his road OPS?
Well, I gotta add it. They don't have OPS. They have slugging.
I got, like I said, I got 855.
You're looking at the same page that Aaron's looking.
2 versus 1.
Yeah, I got 855.
All right.
3 versus
So
1.
855. Do you know what Adrian Beltre's
It's
first
a-
ballot
it's a different-
OPS is?
It's a different page that I'm on. Adrian Beltre's, I would say it's very close to that.
819 OPS. Like, so like Helton as a road player is what, 35, 36 points higher than Beltre for his career. And as far as first base defense, Beltre's the second best third baseman defensively ever. Helton, he's a plus 100 runs at first base. I don't have that. I wasn't planning on talking about him, so I don't know where that falls on the list. But there's also the negative effect of you're accustomed to Coors Field for 81 games. Playing on the road is harder for you. Like there's articles out there. I don't have them here. There's scientific people have written about how it's hard to play on the road as a Rocky because your body is adjusted. Everything about you. It's like jet lag to the extreme to come back down. So if he played anywhere else, his 855 would probably be higher than that.
Hey,
I'm open
when
to
he
being
swung,
swayed. Go ahead.
when he swung at the first pitch, his OPS was 927. When he took it, it was 962. So those are pretty big numbers, Joe.
Yeah.
That's true.
What about when he swung at the
during a
first
night
pitch
game?
on the road? Yeah, at night.
With a lefty reliever who threw sidearm. You have that stat?
You'll have to come back to me.
Okay.
He did hit 281 with 112 hits, 23 homers, 68 RBIs, and 73 runs scored in 111 games against the Cardinals in his career. So he, let's see, his OPS
Yeah. What was his
against the
team's
Cardinals
record?
was 907. What's that?
Yeah. What was his team's record during that time against the Cardinals?
Not
Not good.
not good. I don't think they had any pitching. They were a lot like the
You can't pitch there.
2037. They were a lot like the 2037 Bush Ball Colorado Rockies.
Oh my gosh.
who are
That's another
helmed by
pod,
Todd
Corey.
Helton, by the way.
Another
What?
pod. We don't accept that talk on here.
Oh, well. Just saying,
Yeah.
we can.
Different time for a different pod, brother.
I
Just
lose
saying.
most of my games by a score of 13-11.
Get better pitchers.
Sign Billy
I
Wagner.
try. It doesn't work. They
Yeah, I
all
think
come here to die.
the big thing for Helton, ignoring Corey talking about that, would be the power at first base. Even that's the one
And
thing.
this is just reputation. I mean, it could be completely wrong. I think he's pretty highly thought of, right, as a leader of that
Yeah,
team.
so is
He
that
was there the
character
whole
helping?
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, character factor again.
Good talk, good discussion. Any other talk about the current Hall of Famers?
I mean, you talk about his power. Like he still had his slugging percentage is still really, really good. He just
What
didn't
was it
hit a home
away
run.
from Colorado?
Yeah,
Well,
it's 607 at Colorado, 469 on the road. So I mean that's normal. I mean that's
but for a guy
good.
who doesn't hit home runs that's really good. Like he just had to have just like a double city all over the place.
I mean, he played 1,141 games at home, had 227 homers, 1,106 games on the road, 142 homers. So, I mean, that's a pretty significant drop off. So the Cougars definitely helped with the homers and the doubles. That's a big thing with Cougars, too. There's bigger outfield to get more hits. So your averages are just higher like that, too. Not just the ball going over the fence, but there's more space in the outfield to drop balls in.
I think maybe a conversation for another time would be, I don't know what we would call it. We could come up with something sweet, write up a proposal, and probably get it approved. Like the Hall of Halls or the Super Beasts of the Hall of Fames, and like,
Let's workshop
'cause
that a little bit more.
okay. I'm saying obviously as time goes
you
along,
say Super Beast,
more
you got me, but
as time goes along, more and more people are going to get into the Hall of Fame, obviously. So at some point, do we need? Hey, here's the top 50. This is the Super Beast Hall of Halls, Hall of Fames. And like inside the Hall of Fame, there's another
Inner
room
circle.
Hall of
where,
Fame.
hey, here's where we talk about Ozzie Smith and Roger Hornsby and guys like
Well,
Ozzie Smith. Well, okay. Moving on. Ozzie
Ooh,
Smith ain't gonna
boy.
be in there.
that. Another time. Listeners, let us know
Sure.
what you would call it.
Let's
Corey,
talk
give us
about
an
the guys.
update of who's coming next year.
Yes, the guys who are likely. We don't think the 6-man committee has voted on this yet, but we don't. Our insiders still trying to crack that case.
Joe's gonna be on it.
Yeah, but the guys likely to show up on the ballot next year for the 2025 Hall of Fame class have a couple. I think we'll get 2, maybe 3 first ballot guys out of here. And it's headlined by Ichiro Suzuki, who
Who?
is I think he makes cars. The Suzuki company.
And
He's the guy
motorcycles.
that- president of the Suzuki company.
Weird thing to be inducted to Baseball Hall of Fame, but okay.
Yeah, well, it's they're
Played-
just trying to get a little bit piece of that market, get
He
some
played for
sponsorships.
Miami.
Yeah, he was pretty good for Miami. The one thing I don't want to spend too much time on this because we've spent a lot of time talking about a lot of stuff so far, which is what we do. It's what we get paid to do. But,
Bingo.
What's the point of a podcast?
if he's not a unanimous guy,
I quit.
then whoever doesn't vote for him, because like there was a whole thing about like one person didn't vote for Jeter. More than one person should have not voted for Jeter, but that's just my opinion. If somebody doesn't
Agree.
vote for Ichiro, then you're kicked out.
Yeah,
Your
and I'm
credentials
quitting
are
the pod.
revoked.
They
Yeah. Well,
and maybe
I
they
guess-
do, but they really should make those public, those voting. I mean,
Yeah, it's up to the
I don't
person.
think you should be free of
Scrutiny.
critique. Yeah, scrutiny.
yeah.
It's always
know
Babe
about
Ruth
that.
wasn't unanimous, so nobody should be unanimous. Well, because somebody was an idiot back then, 60 years ago, doesn't give you the right to be an idiot now.
hmm Yeah, I think that goes for a lot of things in life.
Yes,
so
if someone's an
put the-
idiot in history, don't be an idiot.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. That's an excellent
CC
regular position.
yeah, so CC Sabathia probably
Don't be an idiot in history.
is a is a guy who's close.
Title.
Dustin Pedroia, great short stint, and then his knees blew out.
Both of
Felix,
them?
I'm not sure. I think
He's
he's
still
At the
laying out
same
there
time?
Fenway. He's
He
still
might
on
be
Fenway.
he might be Lieutenant
Oof.
Dan on it right now. Um,
Oh, that's
um,
terrible. Dustin, I
yeah.
apologize.
Come on and show us your chins.
Yeah, prove it.
Yeah. Felix Hernandez, King Felix. I
Ooh,
think
that'd be an
his
interesting
career
one.
was great. I like I like he kind of fell off the end of his career, but what he did for that franchise, like he had his
Mhm.
own seat.
Yeah, we need more
seating section.
Mariners in there. It's just Griffey, isn't it? Oh, Edgar. Edgar's in.
Edgar, yeah, Griffey and Edgar. Ian Kindler probably is on the ballot at least. Ben Zobrist, I think that's to me is setting aside the fact that he played for the Cubs and won the World Series MVP for the Cubs is an interesting player because I think his influence extends beyond his stats. Like what he did something in the game that not a lot of people do
Everybody wants a
and did it
Zobrist
well.
now
Yes.
since him. Yeah.
Yeah. Curtis
That's
Granderson, Troy Tulowitzki, man, what could have been with Troy Tulowitzki? Russell Martin, Brian McCann, and Hanley Ramirez. So uh
That'll
two
be
or
fun
three, I
next
think
year.
for sure. What's that?
I said that'll be fun.
Mhm.
We'll get to do that next time.
I think we'll get some
A lot of
guys.
interesting cases, but very few slam dunks. So a lot of stat
Yeah.
diving for us.
So we'll talk more about them a year from now. Set a reminder on your calendar.
Set your alarms.
Yep. 365. There is some things that did happen in baseball though that we are going to quickly
What?
recap.
Not
It
this
wasn't
offseason.
it wasn't much. But things are happening kind of slowly.
Kind of
Maybe.
slowly, but no.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, I'm gonna run through them real quick. We have a little bit of discussion. I know we've talked a lot about the Hall of Fame, so I don't want to bore the viewers too much here, but just I think some under the radar moves, a little
Matt
bit of big
Carpenter.
names, but nope, we're not discussing that one.
That is on the radar. That's not,
That's been completely off the radar. Not worried about it being on any radar.
that didn't make the radar move at all.
But we got Joey Gallo to the Nationals. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers made another move, getting James Paxton.
for them.
One that I didn't see, surprisingly, but could be good for them is Chapman to the Pirates. Aroldis Chapman.
That was surprising, yeah.
And then Stevenson to the Angels. I think it was like a 3-year deal,
Mhm.
something like that. So good for him. And then some of the bigger moves. We got David Robinson to the Rangers. I think that just came in today. Corey Reese Hoskins to the Brewers.
That the money on that 34 million to Reese Hoskins.
Yeah, it's kind of
I
crazy.
thought that was
2-year deal with an opt out. That's an interesting contract.
I
Yeah.
think
He
it was
hasn't
it's similar
played,
to the
right?
yeah, similar to the
Mhm.
Conforto deal because Conforto also got hurt and then signed with the Giants, I believe.
Mhm.
Right. Like Joe said, no such thing as a bad 2-year deal, right?
Uh-huh. I think
Well.
it's gonna get the 10-year deal. No such thing as a bad 10-year deal.
Not if you
Um,
defer
and-
it for 1,000 years.
Oh, and then before we get on to the big acquisition here, Jock Peterson expected to be in Arizona. I don't know if you guys saw that come across there. That could be good for them, I think.
I saw a stat how I mean he's a big platoon guy. They were showing the rotations of all the teams in the West. Like Paxton's in LA, everybody else is right-handed. Giants are all righties except for one guy. So it'd be a good fit for Arizona. Like it.
hmm And then probably the big one is we got Hader on a 5-year deal. I think it was 95 mil for the Stros. I think probably about what the range that Hader was expecting. I think he had to wait out a little bit longer than he anticipated, but man, if he becomes what he was in Milwaukee, I mean it's a huge arm in the bullpen, which already a stacked bullpen for the Stros.
Yeah, this is probably the team that needed bullpen help the least.
Correct.
So
And then one thing, real quick, and we can open for discussion here. Snell was offered a 6-year, 150 mil by the Yankees, which he declined. And then while you guys were talking earlier, I was on the phone. The Mariners called me. I'm back to their insider, and apparently they are back in the mix on Snell. So be interesting to see what happens with him there. I think it's starting to heat
Mariners
up.
and Snell.
I think it's a little bit of a heat up for Snell's market again. So Still some big names out there, but anything caught your guys' attention as to some of the moves that happened?
Spring training, I know, at least for the Braves, pitchers catchers report on February 14th. So I assume everybody else is that date or close to it. So we're 3 weeks out from pitchers and catchers reporting. So Snell's got to sign soon. That's interesting. I hadn't seen the Mariners. If he goes out there, you got to almost expect Castillo or somebody to get traded for a bat because they don't need another starter. So that'll be interesting. So maybe they're going to use their money to sign him and then acquire the bat via trade.
I was listening to Ian Happ's podcast, The Compound. Come on, Ian Happ, or like get us in touch with John Boy or somebody. Because he is part of the John Boy Media suite of podcasts. But you know,
You don't have Kelsey on speed dial yet?
me or
Who, me?
Yeah.
or Jared?
Corey.
Who, me?
Why would I have Kelsey on speed dial?
You don't always talk about her. I've
Talking
seen it.
about who?
Kelsey. John Boy Media. Kelsey Winger.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Travis Kelsey and
Yeah, I
Jason
thought you were
Kelsey
talking
because
about
they
the-
also have a
the
Kelsey
podcast.
brothers.
No, I'm sorry. I'm
That's what
talking
I
about John
thought.
Boy
There you go.
Media. I was talking about John
Uh,
Boy Media.
No, I don't. I think I've maybe mentioned her name twice, but um anyway, he's talking about like logistically and finding a place to live. I think a lot of these people live in like Arizona or Florida in the spring training complex areas, but still, like if Snell signs a 6-year deal, I'm sure he's going to want a place to stay and live in wherever he signs a deal. And it's just like I don't understand why you're holding out for this long unless there's just no interest, which is I guess is always a possibility. But um, I at this point I would be concerned even like to find an apartment 2 weeks from now. I guess they don't actually have to in the where their team is. That's more like March after spring training. So you got a little bit more time there, but it's just I'm concerned about where I'm sleeping if I'm them at this
My
point. 'cause
thought with
that's
Snell
crazy.
is, I think he was probably thinking he was going to get one of these monster 10-year contracts, and that just hasn't happened. That's what I think.
I just can't imagine. Like, good for you if you think you can get it. I can't imagine turning down that much money. Like, once again, I'm appreciative of Anthopoulos getting all these guys to just take whatever he offers. Because I turned down 150. Like, what in the world?
Well, I mentioned several podcasts ago. This is like allegedly, right? We don't know what offers he actually has. Two, I think the AAV on that Yankees deal is too low for him. I mean, you are what you get paid, so could
Yeah,
be
you
wrong
love Blake
there.
Snell. If there's one thing I know about you, it's that you love Blake Snell.
Mm-hmm. That's what we heard. Yeah.
And as far as who has signed, all those guys you mentioned were trash, but I do love Hader. I thought he'd break triple dillies on his contract. He settled right below it, I think. But
It's the largest AAV,
money.
right? Because Diaz had some deferred stuff. So Diaz is going to get a little bit more.
Yeah, something like
but
that.
Haters does have the AAV.
Yeah. But I don't know, maybe I should look up Diaz. I don't think he's sniffing Hader, but maybe they hang out together and do. I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have.
Diaz has had 2 peak years that are just flat out dominant, some decent years, and then
And
one really
I
bad
don't know-
year.
What's Hader's walkout song? I guess he's definitely losing that battle to Tommy Trumpet
Probably.
or Tommy Trombone or whatever that thing is.
Well, Diaz ain't walking out to nothing right now.
Oh,
Wow. Cross that name
I bet
off, Corby.
I bet he's walking. It's been like
That's been a
Mhm.
year.
10,
That's true.
10 months is an ACL.
I don't know. Okay, you said you are what you're worth or whatever about Snell. Like I said, 3 weeks, he's going to be in a camp somewhere, and nobody's paid him what he thinks he's worth. So is he worth it?
We'll see.
Also, speaking of deferred
He's go-
contracts, real quick,
He's going to get a
give me the-
1-year, $40 million deal.
Talk about a perfect retirement plan.
Yeah.
Paying me when I'm 50 years old and I'm done playing baseball, I'm still making money.
Do the show, hey man.
Bobby
I need
Bonilla's
$1
been on the
million a
beach
year.
for 15 years.
That's what I'm saying, man.
do you think he
Joey's gonna be
celebrates that
winning.
day still?
Oh yeah.
I'm sure it's
I
direct
would-
deposited or something. He's just like sitting
Dude.
there, like refreshing his bank statement, like, all right, there it is. Go, honey.
Get
Dinner's
1.5
on me.
million every year on July 1st. Like every year, I'm spending $5,000 on something or doing something stupid on that day. It's like, yeah, thank
I
you.
do that anyway, and I don't get paid 1.5 million every year.
And you're
That's
quitting
good.
your jobs.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes. Allegedly.
Stop improving. All righty, guys. Well, that was fun. So, like we said, we've just got a couple of weeks until spring training picks up.
Whoop whoop.
And so we'll really be getting into rosters and prospects, and then looking forward to preseason season predictions. And we've almost been doing this for a year, which is
Yeah. It's almost season
amazing.
2.
It
Big
is
things, big
almost
changes.
season 2.
Episode
Feels like
41.
5. Oh.
Wow. Thanks, Corey. Golly.
Gosh.
In
I've lost
unrelated
money
news,
doing this.
in
'Cause people keep
unrelated
buying
news,
coffee
mugs.
we're going to be
That's
putting an
not
ad
our
out for a
fault.
new stat man. So send your applications to rakeyourposition@gmail.com.
It's not as hard of a job as you think.
Yeah. If you
Just
I
have
don't
a
know.
computer handy.
if you could Google quickly, you're in.
And if you're really small and can get your voice to match Mickey Mouse's at random moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
You
you're
gotta be at least 4 foot
feet-
2.
Hi, pal.
That's better than I'll ever do.
Oh, man.
I've been practicing with my kids. All right, until next time, Joe. Can we have Goofy take us out tonight?
Oh wow! Talk about. I don't know if I can do a goop. Oh, hello, kids! Don't forget to rake your positions.
That was really good. Good job.
That was really good, man. That was really good, yeah.
Man,
Adios, everybody.
peace
Take
out.
your position.
Rake.
Can you talk?
That was really good.
Yeah, you were talking like a day before you play.